Let us get things adjusted here. I know it seems like I would have that done already, but I never know what it's going to look like until I see it on the camera. So, can everybody hear me? Can everybody hear me? Okay, my friends. Welcome to the Saturday morning live stream here at the Garden Like a Viking headquarters in northern Indiana, zone 5B 6A. And we have had a little bit of break from the heat, which is awesome because the heat was really intense for about 3 to 4 weeks. Blazing hot, bone dry, as many of you will know if you watched the short that I made yesterday. And man, the plants are not liking this. The plants are not liking this. And there's a certain part of myself that is directly linked with the plants in a way. And so when the plants are not thriving and healthy, I feel there's an aspect of myself that feels a little bit not thriving. But we just need some rain, man. So guys, let me know where you're at, where you're viewing this from. Let me know that you're here. Where are you at? What is the weather like? What is the rain situation like? Because guys, without rain, nothing's happening. So, and like I've said before, if you know that going into it, if you're in Arizona or if you're in Northern California during the summertime, you know, for example, and you know going into it that there's not going to be any rain, then that's different because you have to plan for that. You know, drip lines and stuff, and anything that doesn't have a drip line or irrigation isn't growing in those climates. But here, typically, you rely on the rainfall. And so, but man, the last year and this year, just nothing. Just bone dry, blazing hot. The cabbages have started to bolt, and I've never had that happen before. So the Chinese cabbages, they've all started to bolt, as you saw on the short that I made. And so it's that's a little bit disheartening, but hey, that's why we always have to have things that are ready to go into the place. Here is a nice Polish variety of ground cherry. And so as soon as I pull one of them cabbages, I'm just going to go ahead and put a ground cherry there. I've also got collard greens on deck ready to go. So stuff like that. All right, let me get to some of these comments here. Kip Tap, $10. Thank you very much, my friend. First tip of the day. So he says, have you tested the stainless steel pump enough to let us know what make and model it is? Preferably a link. I've not tested it enough to let you know. No, I have not, but I will soon enough. I'll probably just put a link anyways, but I'm not going to put my stamp on it, you know, yet. But because I need to, you know, put it through the ringer. And without rain, yeah, it's just, I don't like to irrigate. You know, there's different approaches and stuff. And so really this year I am not using very much, well, any fertilizers or stuff like that. You know, I'm really going because there's been enough seasons here now that I feel that the soil is pretty much on point. And so when the soil's really on point, there isn't much need for like fertilizations, and I amended in the fall time. So I'm going to use some aerated compost teas this year. And a few of the other stuff, of course, if I see any deficiencies, but there isn't much need. But it just needs to rain, man. Just needs to rain. So yeah, I will get you a link to that, my friend. So let's see here. Let me blaze through some of these. Bobby Anderson, good day from Sunnyside, Georgia. Ken Harrison, happy Saturday, everyone. He says, yeah, sunny, haha. It's all of a sudden summer in Texas. Sunny, oh man. So yeah, I hear you guys are getting lots of rain. Man, that would just be beautiful. If you guys don't already know this guy, Ryan Hall, y'all is his screen name. He is like the only source of weather that I even would pay attention to. I mean, as far as like long-term predictions and stuff, like what the summer is going to look like and all that, his videos are very engaging too. So they're like easy to watch. It's not just dry meteorologist talk. You know, it's so Ryan Hall, y'all, it's he's a pretty good channel. And so he explained what the El Nino effect is and all of that. So it's great. I got a thorough understanding of it. And what it's going to be like for the next 3 to 4 years is going to be like this. And that's going to be drier in the middle part. We'll just watch the video, but it's going to be drier in the middle part of the country and then wetter in the southern parts of the country and much drier and hotter in like the Great Plains areas. So, yes, okay. And so that is what that is what he predicted. And so far, it's pretty much exactly true. And okay, look at all these guys saying Ryan Hall is my only weather guy. Bobby Anderson says, Ryan says it might be a super El Nino. Yeah, what does that even mean? Super El Nino, does that mean really no rain? Because we're already getting no rain and blazing hot temperatures. Maybe we'll get more no rain. Even drier, even though you can't get drier. Mick Hegarty, hello my friend. Hello from Front Range, Colorado. Elizabeth Hendricks, hello from drizzly southern New Hampshire. Man, drizzly, how lovely that sounds. King Jesus says, hello from Middle Georgia. I hear it's pretty warm there right now, huh? In Middle Georgia. Donald Hughes says, thanks for the info. You're welcome, my friend. Buck says, do you think I could make all the fertilizers in one barrel? Fish, grass, manure, etc. There's really no need for that. I get that question a lot. And you don't really want to do that, in the sense that then you have there's no control whatsoever as far as sort of encouraging luscious vegetative growth, as opposed to sort of encouraging fruiting and ripening. So a lot of things won't ripen properly if they have too much nitrogen. Think of, even though with natural farming we don't divide stuff into NPK like that, like chemical fertilizers and industrial agriculture, we don't, they divide it into NP and K, but we take a much more holistic approach. That being said, there is brews that are more dominant towards a certain type of nutrient, but more so a certain type of result. So we'll look at it that way. So for the luscious vegetative growth, we want the things like the fish fertilizer, the urine, and the grass JLF, any of the manure JLFs, or any of the manure fertilizers, or any of the other, not just JLF, but any style that I'm showing you, because there's all different kinds of styles. Remember, I'm not just a JDOM only kind of thing. That's just what we started with on the channel. But all of that kind of stuff, will encourage luscious vegetative growth. But once the season sort of like reaches that halfway point, and the tomatoes and the ground cherries or the peppers and stuff, once they're done with their growth, really, then they want to focus on the reproduction, and they want to focus on the ripening of the peppers and stuff. So then we're gonna back off of those manures and the grass JLF and stuff that encourages the luscious leafy growth, and we're gonna instead go heavier on things like the ash fertilizer, definitely. And the fish fertilizer is pretty much good all the way through. It really is, but. And then we'll lay off totally of the urine fertilizer. The urea, we'll lay off that once the fruits start to set, and once it's a couple of weeks or months before harvesting, we'll lay off of that. So we'll focus on things that are more dominant in the calcium. We'll add more of the calcium fertilizer to help it to ripen and harden up. So that is why we want to utilize different barrels. So if we just put it all into one barrel, we have absolutely no control over that. And if we are giving our plants really high nitrogen, high fertility type stuff that encourages leafy growth, it can totally delay the ripening of our peppers, of the tomatoes. It can delay the ripening of the pumpkins. It can delay the ripening of the melons and all that other stuff. And we don't necessarily want that. We don't want that. And so that's why we make different ones. Okay. Lisa T, $10. Thank you very much, my friend. Second tip of the day says, appreciate your generosity, Nate. Just learned a lot. Invaluable info about manures from a past video. Thank you. Great community here. Rain forecast in Indianapolis tomorrow. Yeah, that's what they're saying. Okay. Thank you very much, Lisa. And I'm glad that you learned a lot about those previous videos. Guys, remember, all the videos that I've made on this channel are still relevant. It's not like a current events channel where all the stuff is in the past. Every video I've made is still totally relevant to right now. So there's a wealth of knowledge. And in the comments section, because you said great community, I absolutely agree. So go to the comments section of each video that you watch and really read through it. And there's a wealth of information. From experience from people, and from myself, and from other people giving their advice and their experience, which is great. So read through all of that. Maticus Bartholomew says, thumbs up. Yes, thank you very much, guys. Thumbs up, please. Let us remember that, okay? Let's see. Jenny Simon. Oh, wait. Big West says, I think Nate said the lactic acid bacteria stops fungus gnats. Well, you need to stop the... Okay, to stop fungus gnats, was that your question, Jenny? So to stop fungus gnats, you have to get rid of their food source, which is the fungus. So ideally, you will adjust the conditions because you don't want the fungus. So you need to increase the airflow, increase the temperature, if it's like indoors or something, because that's generally the only place we would get them. So we increase the temperature, we increase the airflow, we can increase the light, we can decrease the frequency of watering, things like that. And that is going to take the fungus away from the gnats, and then the gnats won't have anything to eat. And so they won't be nearly as much of a problem. But after that then, okay, if you've adjusted those things, but yet you still have some plants that you really want to save, then yes, you can apply the labs, but also you can apply the JWA. The wetting agent really will put a damper on them, big time. So if you do the JWA with the labs, that's going to really put it's going to rain on their parade big time. Okay, Jenny Simon says, yeah, so lactobacillus. Okay, got some of that. Yeah, I live on the Pacific Northwest coast. Fungus gnats everywhere. In my warm outdoor grow tent even. Switching from peat to cocoa coir. Peat spongy. I got some mosquito bits to sprinkle on the soil too. Yeah, labs. Moldy Soldier says, what is the JWA? JDOM wetting agent. I made a video about that, and it's basically a homemade Castile soap, except it's just a bit different. It's stronger. It's much stronger than like Dr. Bronner's and stuff. But the JWA, and it's way cheaper to make, like 30 gallons of it for the price you can get like 1 gallon of Dr. Bronner's. So if money is any kind of an issue, then you want to make the JWA. If you've just got money to burn, then you can use the Dr. Bronner's. So let's see. Jerry Jr. says, my cucumbers are turning yellow slowly over the last 3 weeks. Planted on top of leaves from last fall and in new 60-40 compost sand. Why would they be turning yellow? How old are they, Jerry? And did you transplant them or did you direct seed them? Let me know those two things. Quick, before it gets lost in the comments. Jerry says, I started using JDOM chicken and green fertilizer 2 weeks ago. Okay, good. Let's see here. Wesley Snellgrove. Hey, Nate, tuning in from Southeast Mississippi. I've been super busy and missed the last few Q&As. Excited to catch you live again. Here we are, my friend. Happy you're here. And let's see here. Okay, transplant. Yes, Jerry. And guys, did you notice how the first thing that I said when Jerry was talking about his cucumbers are not doing well, the first thing I asked is, are they transplanted or direct sown? And if you paid attention last week, the same exact thing happened. A guy was having problems with his cucumbers. I said, are they transplant or direct sowed? Both times they've responded transplant. That always happens. So this is one big reason that we don't transplant cucumbers, because they just don't do as well. Cucumbers and squash and melons, the winter squash, the vining things, all of those kind of things, they live a life that is, you grew from seed last year. Okay, good. And did you have the same exact kind of problems last year, Jerry, if you grew from seed? There's other issues, I'm sure, but I'm just saying, in general, here's how those kind of things, cucumbers, squash, melons, all of that, when they sprout, they put up them 2 big leaves, and I know a lot of you know this, but just repetition is key. Okay, he says this is the first time, see? So last year he grew it, and it was no problem, because they were from seed. This year he transplanted them, now he's having all kinds of issues. All right, so what happens with those cucumbers and the melons is that they put up those first 2 big thick leaves, and then they just sit there for what seems like an eternity, for like, it just seems like forever, like 2 weeks, really, in reality, to where nothing seems to happen. And then all of a sudden they explode. with growth, but there is things happening. So they put up those two big leaves, which are like their solar panels. Well, they are their solar panels, and they are just capturing the energy from the sun, and they are putting down those roots the whole time that they appear to be doing nothing. They are putting down roots deep into the earth and wide to see how big of an area and how nutrient rich the soil is. It's called a set, the root set. And so those plants, they, based upon their initial root set, signals to the intelligence of the plant how big and how nourishing the area is. So it signals to it how big it can get. So if you start them and they put that root set out and they, oh man, oh, the plastic's all over the place. Oh, we're all confined to this tiny little thing. Okay. Then they're going to say, well, look, we can't get that big because this isn't a very nutrient rich area. So they just will have issues their whole life because it sets the DNA or whatever it is, it sets the program for the rest of the life of the plant. And so if you direct sow them and they put them roots down and they go, oh yeah, this is good. This is good. So we got plenty of room. We got plenty of nutrients. All right, game on. Let's go. Boom. Then they explode and get really big and luscious. So I would say that is the number one problem with that kind of thing. Now, on top of that, but cucumbers are a great thing you can just, good morning, Daniel. Cucumbers are a great thing you can just direct sow in succession. So direct sow some cucumbers every 2 to 3 weeks because the cucumber plants are not like other ones. Cucumbers, they grow for a while, they produce a boatload of cucumbers, but then they like die off. And so many people are trying to nurse along their 1 or 2 cucumber plants all season. And cucumbers, they're just not meant to last. They just get this illnesses. No matter what, they will get some illnesses. And so you want to succession sow them. So plan on that. So plant the cucumbers and then 2 to 3 weeks later, plant more cucumber seeds. 2 to 3 weeks later, plant more cucumber seeds. You can do that all the way up until like the middle of July. So that's going to give you the best harvest all the way along. Now that being said, now about your cucumbers, you already said that you were giving them the chicken manure the chicken manure liquid fertilizer and one of the other ones. So you're already giving them all she's got. So let's see. Kim Williams, hello everyone from wet Tunisia. It's raining there. How beautiful that sounds. Okay. Lisa T says, wondering about growing cucumbers on corn, Three Sisters style. Won't be the same as traditional, but do you think they will play well together? Many thanks. Absolutely not. You can save yourself. I mean, you can experiment if you want, but no, that won't work because the cucumbers are not like they are not like the beans. The pole beans actually wrap around whatever it is. They can grow up a fishing line, but pole beans can, because they will wrap themselves around. Now, cucumbers, on the other hand, like melons and squash, they grow, but they grow by putting out tendrils. They reach out and then secure themselves, and then they reach out and wrap around. So they can climb, but not in the same way. They're not gonna climb those corn stalks, and more importantly, they're not going to hold the corn together. That's what the pole beans really do. And the Three Sisters, from my experience, is that they kind of weave everything together, and it sort of everything supports itself as it becomes interlocked. So the cucumbers and the cucumbers would not be good for that, no. And even if they did take hold, they would get so big they would pull down the corn. So no. Let's see here. Jody K says, is it too late to direct sow cucumbers? I'm in Minnesota. Absolutely not. Direct sow them today. You can get them. I recommend Market More. The Market More 76, I think, is the variety. Very good. Very nice slicer. Good for juicing. Not good for pickling. And the China Jade cucumber can be very good as well. It's a longer, green-fleshed one, and it's very good to eat whole. These are like real Chinese cuisine type cucumbers. So those are two really good ones. And then if you want to make pickles, you have to get a pickling cucumber. So get Boston pickling or Chicago pickling. I get the Chicago pickling, works really well here. And at the end of each season, I just take some of I just let the cucumbers go super ripe until they basically rot and fall off of the vine. And then I just take that and I bury it along the trellis. And then just last week, one of the I started getting the volunteers. So you get volunteers. They overwinter, the seeds do, and then you get volunteers. And so now I've got the pickling cucumber plants just from the pickles, or from the cucumbers from last year. And you want to do pickling cucumbers, guys. Remember this: if you're making cucumbers and you have not had success, or this is your first time, you have to use a pickling variety. Now, some of you will say, well, I've done it without a pickling variety and they've been fine. Okay, some people can have results. Some people can have success to varying degrees using regular cucumbers. But if you want them crunchy pickles, because the pickling cucumber is bred specifically to be pickled, as the name implies. And so it is bred to have a very thin skin. The skin is really thin, and therefore it can absorb the brining material very well. And it stays crunchy during the pickling process. And so if you've ever tried to use like some regular cucumbers to make pickles, they've been real mushy and they've had a tough skin. That's because you didn't get the right kind. So let's see, Charles Norman, what's up, my friend? He says, hey Nate, I tried making the calcium with eggshells. It stopped bubbling after 2 days and still smells like vinegar. What went wrong? I would say nothing really went wrong. I mean, there can still be a vinegar smell to it. Okay, you made it and it stopped bubbling after 2 days. That's fine. See, just based upon I don't really know what, it varies. Sometimes it's a day, 2 days. Sometimes it can take up to 10 days. I just let it go until I see no more bubbles. Give it a good stir and let it all settle again. You know, if you shake it and you're still seeing bubbles and stuff, that's still the reaction. So just let it go. There's no harm in letting it go longer than necessary. There's no harm at all. So you can go ahead and do that. Let's see here. Austin says, none of my mother's Staller beans sprouted. I tried multiple batches and pre-soaked. Makes me wonder if I got duds. Where did you get them from? The Mother Stallers are very good beans, guys. And, okay, Val says, okay, yeah, Val. Okay, maybe this is the same question, but man, I went through, someone told me, you never answered. My mom told me, she was like, Val asked that same question 10 times and you never answered. I said, what question? And so I went back and I saw that. And so I even wrote it down to answer it this week, but maybe this is the same question. Okay. Val says, garden like a Viking. 2 questions. Can I sub peppermint essential oil in the preventative pest solution? And can we use the pine wood shavings from the chicken coop in the compost? Can we use the pine wood shavings from the chicken coop in the compost? To do what, Val? What are you using the pine wood shavings for? Coop in the compost. Can we? Yeah, oh, absolutely, definitely. Yeah, you can put it in there because the pine shavings will soak up the urea from the chickens. They can get real gnarly and stuff. So yeah, you want that pine shaving, so long as it's been put through the bedding process and it's like wet, you know, it's got substance in it, then it's going to break down real fast and it's going to really help. The decomposition process. Now, if you just put them in there plain and they haven't been like, you know, absorb the manure and stuff from the chickens, then it's gonna take a long time. That's gonna take a long time to break down. So make sure it's been processed through the chickens first. And then your second question, yes, so last week and now you said something about you did not have the mint available, right? You had the oregano and stuff. Yes, absolutely. So guys, with the Jadam Herbal Solutions, it's all like the same process. So if you get his book, The 100 Herbs to Use, and I know if Garth is listening, he doesn't like that book, but if you get that book, it's all made the same way. And so the thing with the natural pesticides and that I have found over the years is that you use as big of diversity of strong odoriferous plants as you can. And the ones that have been tested and proven are the garlic, the ginger, the oregano, the mint, and many others, but also like marigolds. So if you have marigolds already, you can utilize that. Also calendulas, also, there's a number of different ones. Oleander, if you have ginkgo tree, if you have that, the berries is very good to use. And the Jerusalem artichoke is one of the most proven and strongest of them all. And so yes, you can utilize any number of those. And nobody really knows for sure what even the JDOM book is not, I know, is not positive on what plant to use for exactly what pesticide, because it doesn't work like that in the natural world. It's more, that's more the chemical sort of modern mind of man type of farming where, okay, we use this chemical to get rid of exactly this or for this exact purpose, because that stuff was created in a laboratory, and so it can do that, but with these natural things, it's way more holistic. So it's more like we're going to try these preventatives, and because we know that they work, from our own experience, and other people have confirmed this. So we're going to try a number of different things, and all together, it just works. It does. It all just kind of works to prevent them. But the best is interplanting. The best above all is interplanting. Your marigolds, nasturtiums, and pot marigolds, the calendulas, and oregano, in a container and stuff. Interplanting that stuff around really helps a lot. That being said, the essential oils absolutely are effective. Oh my goodness, they are effective. So if you know me, you know I'm pretty big into essential oils. And just because what is not to love? I stopped using any kind of fragrance, like artificial fragrance, a long time ago. Well, five years, once I woke up, to so many things. And so, because I used to wear deodorant and cologne every day of my life. Even when I was traveling, I would bring deodorant and cologne. And because it was just, ingrained in me from all of that. But now, never. Just essential oils. That's all. That's all. And once your diet becomes more naturalized, you don't have that really offensive odor of ammonia and all those toxins trying to seep out of your body. Once you're free of a lot of that stuff, and you're not slathering titanium dioxide and all kinds of stuff under the most absorbing place in the body, on the outside of the body, the underarms, once you're not poisoning yourself in that way, then the pH and everything just finds a way of balancing out. And you're not seeping out preservatives and stuff. So I use just essential oils, guys, for all kinds of stuff. And yes, what a really good one to use, I'm trying to find it right now. A really good one to use, this one right here, thyme. The thyme essential oil is super effective. So with essential oils, it's actually wonderful. It's the most expensive route by far as natural pesticides, because I use essential oils for cologne too. Cologne is awful. Yeah, absolutely. My mix is cedar, a little bit of cedar wood, a little bit of patchouli, and a little bit of arborvitae, and that is what I like to use. But yes, if you want to make a pesticide, the essential oil is what we're trying to get out of boiling them. We basically, that is all that really is mattering. So the thyme is the best, and peppermint is really good. So also you can use ones, the basil, is really good, and the cedar wood is really good. The cedar wood's really good for deterring things that are biting you. You rub it on the skin. But now here's a new one that they just sort of came out with. It's a lemon eucalyptus. It's not lemon plus eucalyptus. It's actually some different kind of tree, a lemon eucalyptus tree apparently. We don't have eucalyptus around here, so I'm not that versed in that tree. But I do know for sure that these work really well. And so yes, you can just put them but you got to use quite a bit. You got to use 10, 15 drops of each one, which is unfortunate, but it works. And you can put it in a spray bottle with a little bit of the JDOM wetting agent, and then spray it onto stuff. And they do not hurt the plants, but yet the odor is really strong, and so that will totally repel a lot of things. And Oh, here's another great one, rosemary. I got them all over the place because I use them when we do the saunas, you know, when we do the outdoor saunas over the wintertime and stuff. I use essential oils constantly, and it just, oh yeah, I love it. I love it. And I even consume the essential oils. That's why you have to get good ones, because I consume them all the time. So Busy Girl says rodents don't like peppermint. Yep. Well, that could be true. The rodents around here do not mind it that much. Let's. Skylar the creator says plant exudates. It's what plants crave. Yeah, Brondo. Isn't that what it is? It's got electrolytes. Yeah. You guys ever seen that documentary, Idiocracy? Yeah, it was foretelling the future. Let's see here. Italian wise guy. Hey, Nate, I got a question for you. I got a lot of sand. I planted corn and put white pine needles over the top as a mulch layer. Is the corn strong enough to push through the pine needles? Yeah. Corn will be pretty strong to push through. How much, though? I mean, did you put enough to block out weeds and stuff? Because then, not really. You know, you want to, if you're going to be doing the pine needles and stuff, you want to kind of wait till they're sprouted and then put it around them. But if it's just a light layer, they can push through that. Yeah, they can push through that. So let us see here. There was a Jesse K, $5. Thank you very much, my friend. Says June gloom in SoCal. Not much sun. Should I wait to plant until we get full sun? SoCal, you know, I think that you pretty much can grow anything there. So contrary to popular understanding, plants don't really like full sun as much as they like overcast. They like clouds in the sky, really they do, because it diffuses the light. And when it's just blazing sun like it's been for 4 weeks here without any clouds or any rain, the plants are just like in survival mode. They're not really like, oh yeah, thriving. You know, so a good overcast, no problem. Especially what you're talking about, overcast in SoCal, is not going to be anything like overcast in, you know, Ireland or in Montana or something like that, where it's like cold and really overcast, you know? So overcast in SoCal, I'm gonna say no problem, okay? Let's see here. Lori Smith says, what tea is the best to start with in the middle of the season? Okay, so I assume you mean the liquid fermented fertilizers, because tea to me is aerated compost tea. That's all that I call tea. So I assume you're talking about the ferments in the barrels and stuff. So the anaerobic ferments. So for that, in the middle of the season, I will be making a video pretty soon on that, but it's going to be the chicken manure fertilizer, the chicken manure one, because, well, any manure really, but chicken manure is going to be best for this because it's available immediately and it's very powerful. And so the plants are going to love that. And so that's going to give them a nice boost mid-season. It's going to give them a lot of nitro, which they will still need mid-season, but it's also going to give them many of the other things. So I would say the chicken manure fertilizer and the fish. If you have the fish is pretty much the best of all. In my experience, the fish is really well. So let me see. There was a tip up here somewhere. Val, $5. Thank you very much, my friend. Says, thank you, Nate. Question, how much essential oil per quart or gallon? Okay, so if you're doing it in a, let's see, what would I do? If I had a quart, you know, a 1 liter, then I would put 10 drops of thyme oil and 10 drops of peppermint and 10 drops of something else, you know, a cedar wood or a there's very, you know, rosemary, one of those ones, one of those, or basil, one of those real strong ones, you know, or the peppermint, the cinnamon, the cassia. I don't have it out here, but the cassia or the cinnamon essential oil, that one is very good, very effective as well. And clove essential oil can work really well for all that. So, but for clove, you could add this as like you can mix 4 or 5 different kinds, you know, between 5 and 10 drops of each. The clove is very concentrated, so I would only put, you know, 5 drops of that in there. So let's see. Jazzy D says, why chicken tea versus just plain manure? Because chicken manure is the most concentrated of all the manures by far. And so it's got really good amounts of plant available urea in it, nitrogen. So nitrogen is what plants, that's really what plants crave, you know, and so it's got what plants crave. So the nitrogen, and it's also got the potassium and the phosphorus and also the calcium, because in some good chicken manure, like if you clean out your buddy's chicken coop or something, or your own chicken coop that has been let go for some time, you know, as most of them tend to be, then it's going to have feathers in it. It's going to have, you know, dead eggs and shells and stuff. It's going to have all that stuff in it already, kind of matted down, a sort of pre-decomposed. So it's all really good, really rich. That's number one. Okay. Number two is because, guys, there is an epidemic of the broadleaf herbicides. And it's just unfortunate. It's just unfortunate that we have to worry about this most ancient source of fertilization. For all of time, agriculture and animals and humans have, the whole time there's been agriculture that we're aware of or whatever, there's definitely been animals involved. And so we've always been using the manures from the animals, and that's been the primary source of fertility. But of course, in the modern world, because of various reasons, there is now chemicals that are being sprayed on the hay and the feed of the animals, in particular horses, in particular high-end horses. So if there's like a stable that is like, you know, got really pretty little ponies and stuff, that would be the number one most contaminated, most likely to be contaminated with the grazon. And so it makes it this chemical by design, in my opinion, by design, of course. These people are scientists creating this stuff. They know what they're doing. So they create this stuff, and it's persistent. So it's in the manure. It goes through the animal, doing who knows what to the animal, and then it goes into the manure, and then it stays around for years. Can you imagine that? Doesn't that almost sound like a weapon, some kind of weapon, to where you, oh yeah, okay, we're gonna contaminate their fertilization source, and we're gonna make it so that it will literally ruin their soil for years to come if they use it. Doesn't that sound like an act of war in a way? Some could say it is a form of war. But anyways, that's for my Nate Murray channel. If you guys like to talk about stuff like that, we'll do that every Monday at 12 noon on my other channel, Nate Murray. But point being that the chicken manure, you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about the grazon because they don't eat that stuff. And so that is why it's a sure thing. You don't have to worry about it, because the grazon, yes, if you get horse manure or cow manure and you make a liquid fertilizer out of it, it does not denature it. All right, so you will be spraying it onto your plants. I know, it's horrifying. So that's why we will use the chicken, okay? Because you don't have to worry about any of that. That being said, okay, here we go again, real quick. That being said, if you get your chicken manure from an industrial source, then you have to think the chickens are pumped full of so many antibiotics because of the really harsh, disastrous conditions in the industrial ag type chicken farms. And so those antibiotics are also persistent. And by the very nature of an antibiotic, it kills the biota. And so it is going to not be good for our soils. And so that is why, that's one reason that you have to get permits. You know, if you want to spread manure as an industrial ag farmer, if you want to spread manure on your fields, you have to get permits to do it, because they have to test it to see how much residual antibiotics are in there, so it doesn't get into the waterways and poison everything and stuff. It's just crazy. So, but if you have chickens, or your buddy has chickens or something, and you know that everything's cool, they're not pumping them full of chemicals, they're free range and stuff, absolutely, green light, use it. So there was okay, voltage nut, RSD 1100. What currency is RSD? I think we went through this last time, didn't we? RSD, let me know what currency is that, my friend, but thank you very much. Regardless, doesn't matter. I really appreciate it. So it says, hi Nate, let's see here, Muri. In what ratios should I use labs with JWA for gnats? And can all leafy greens be dehydrated and used like you are doing with kale? Okay, let's dissect that. So in what ratio should I use labs with JWA for gnats? Let's say 2 ounces a gallon of the labs, between 2 and 3 ounces of a gallon of the labs, and okay, here's definitive. If it's bad, do 3 ounces a gallon of labs, 3 ounces a gallon of JWA. Okay, but only use that's as strong as it should ever get. Okay, but if you want to start a little, if it's not like a horrible infestation, then do 2 ounces of each. Okay, really 1 ounce of each would work probably. But if you want to get it under control, then you're gonna need to use between 2 and 3 ounces a gallon of each. Okay. Scott Miller says, okay, well, I will answer that pine straw question. I will answer that pine straw question in a moment. But I want to finish with the voltage nut. So yeah, if you guys really want your question to be seen, you can put it with a tip, because it shows up bright red and it's right in my face. So I see that it's there, you know. Otherwise, we'll just see how many we can get to. But can all leafy greens be dehydrated and used like you were doing with kale? Yes, definitely. I mean, within reason. So I wouldn't do something like cabbage, and it wouldn't really make sense. You could, but I do celery. I do kale, of course, and I dehydrate all kinds of stuff. I mean, all kinds of stuff. Like, look at this, for example. That leads me into this perfect segue, my friend. So yes, here I have, these are Cherokee purple and Roma tomatoes and purple bumblebees, dehydrated with garlic and onions that I smoked on the smoker, and basil and oregano. All that dehydrated and put here. So then when this is the Italian spice. And so when I need it, I will just blend up in the blender. I got a Vitamixer, so I powder up just enough that I'm gonna use for like the next 3 weeks or a month, because it retains its flavor so much better and the nutrient profile so much better when it's in its whole state. For all that stuff, you wanna leave it in mostly its whole state. Not the kale, of course, because you can't. But for this kind of stuff. And this is just a really good Italian spice. Like when you're making a soup or stew or something, you can just use it to blast it with this this flavor, and it's really delicious. Okay, and so that is, and then I do this, which all of you guys already know, but I'm just showing you because you got to know this for this upcoming growing season. Okay, these are Hungarian paprikas, and as you know, I do this every time. It still just smells like a midsummer's evening. Yes, it is nice and smoky and sweet, and you can just smell it like a barbecue. Oh my goodness, it's so tasty. And then this is these are poblanos, and I roasted these real dark. And so these are poblanos, and there's a little bit of garlic and onions in here. Ooh yeah, much more smoky. These are like earthy, like leather, sort of tobacco, kind of think cigar almost, like a humidor when you walk into like a, whoa yeah, with a little bit of Mexican kind of, you know, cooking. Yeah, that's what, I love the smells and the flavors. And so I just take enough of that to make into this, this spice right here. See, just smoked peppers. And so I just blend up a little bit, and then it looks like this, and I just put a tablespoon in. And guys, this is the secret ingredient. So many people, when I bring this or I prepare food for them, it's because I love to cook. I cook all the time. And I mean, literally every day I cook from scratch. And so I use this stuff, and people are like, whoa. Even my brother, who is he's got a Traeger, and he's all into smoking meats and stuff. When he smells this, it's like he gets weak in the knees. He's like, man, you need to bottle this stuff up and sell it. And I'm like, yeah, that just couldn't work out because there's just so much love in this. That's the secret ingredient. You ain't making it, if you're making it for a profit, then you're going to be cutting all kinds of corners. You're going to be doing stuff. This stuff is made with love. I mean, seriously, I roast these peppers for like hours, and I'm out there checking it, adding oak, and I source the oak, so it's a really good quality of oak, and I bring it, you know what I mean? Like every aspect along the way is thoroughly thought about, and the whole thing's conscious from beginning to end. And so if you're trying to do it for a profit, then it's just not going to work. So, let's see here. Scott Miller says, that looks good enough to smoke. Literally. Yeah. It's, let's see. There was another tip up here, I think. John, $10. Thank you very much, my friend. Says, thanks for the garden knowledge. All right. No question. Just wanted a tip. That's wonderful. Now, the question about the pine mulch. Yes, you can absolutely use the pine mulch. And I'm going to explain this just again. Just repetition is key, okay? So that when somebody says again that pine needles alter the pH of the soil, you can tell them that it's not actually the pine needles that are lowering the pH of the soil or that are doing anything to the pH. So the reason people think that is because when they test the pH around pine trees and stuff, then they see, okay, it's acidic. And so they assume that because there's pine needles all over the place, that the pine needles are making it acidic. And they say, okay, nothing else wants to grow around the pine trees because it's acidic. And so they say, okay, maybe it's because of the pine needles. That's what immediately the mind wants to say, well, I'm looking at pine needles that are 3 inches deep, so that must be it. But that's not actually it. If you study the soil science and you understand these processes, you will understand that it is actually the roots of the pine tree and the relationship with the microorganisms in the soil that they form. That is what alters the pH of the soil. It's the microorganisms, of course. Everything has to do with the life in the soil, the biology. And so it is the roots that it's the pine tree itself. So the pine tree it captures the sunlight, and it takes all the elements and rearranges them and pumps sugars into the ground, carbon, into the ground in the exact type of sugar that it knows will attract to it the exact type of microorganism that it needs in order to produce the pH that it needs. Is that not mind-blowing? That is still just, to me, when I observe and think about these processes, I'm just speechless. I just can't even, it's just perfection. So that's what I mean when I say just the perfection of nature and all of this. So it's not the pine needles, guys. So yes, you can use pine needles as a mulch, so long as you're not mixing them into the soil. And one of the things that is going to be the issue is that could be an issue is that the pine needles, due to the resin in them, take a long time to break down. Pine pitch is a preservative, essentially. It will preserve stuff for many, many years. And so it takes a long time for the needles to break down and all that. So don't put them into the soil, but if you put them on top of the soil, no problem. Let's see, was there I think that there was another tip up here. You guys are having all kinds of side conversations. That's great, man. That's what I like. You guys share knowledge, information with each other. And I think I missed one. Mick, thank you very much, my friend. $20. All right. Appreciate you. Is there yeah, see, it's easy to know when I've missed because they tell me up top so I can see that. So it's really good. Mick, $20. He says, is there a home test we can do to determine grazon content? Right. Okay. So the best way to determine the grazon is to grow beans, because beans are very sensitive to this chemical, and they also grow really fast. And so if you have a solution, whether it's the manure or the soil or the liquid or whatever it is, create the conditions to where you can grow some beans. So full blast sun, as warm as possible. That'll get it all happening as fast. And I mean, beans love hot. They love hot, okay? And so get you some beans and plant the beans. And then you will see within the beans will sprout within 5 to 7 days. And then you will notice within about 2 to 3 weeks, because they'll grow initially and stuff, most likely, but then it's like, then they hit a point where they just, whoa, and they just wilt all at once. It like signals something. I don't know how the chemical works because I don't even care to, but it just definitely, you will be able to tell. So give yourself, it's going to take 3 to 4 weeks from now. Like if you have something and you say, okay, I want to test it, plan for 1 month from now, knowing for sure. Plant you some beans in it, mix it up real strong. Plant you some beans in it and then observe. And that is how you will tell. If something happens and they just wilt and all that and they die after like a week or 2 weeks of growth, then yes. Big West says, make a tea for the test material for fastest results. You could do that. You could do that. Although I'm not 100% that would be a guarantee, Guarantee, definitely you could though. If you have something that's growing already and you have some manure, you could make a tea, an extract out of it really. Make an extract and then you could spray it on, but here's the thing, you run the risk of contaminating all the soil or any of the soil that you're putting it on. That's the thing. And so I would just mix some with some soil and then grow the beans like we were talking about. It doesn't even have to be a huge container. It can just be, regular. So, Stone Creek says, how long does the wee water last in a bucket? Forgot what it is called. Wee water, the urea stuff, that is indefinite. And so, let's see, Tuluco says, for cow manure, I just cut a hole on the side of the bag and plant beans directly into it to test it. Okay, what do you mean? So if you're buying cow manure, I don't know if it's contaminated in that way. I don't think so. I'm really mostly talking about if you go and get it and stuff, or if you, I think if you buy like black cow and stuff, it's probably, I'm sure that they've tested it for that. You would think at least. But the thing is, the bags of cow manure just can never compare. It's not nearly as good as like fresh, good quality cow manure. From cows that are eating grass. That's what you need. Grass-fed cows. Cows that are eating grain and soy and all this stuff, the manure is not the same. And for sure, that's what bagged black cow and all that probably, I would definitely assume that it's industrial cows and stuff. You want the grass-fed cows. That's going to be the best by far. And so let us see. Okay, a couple of other questions that we had. Yes, this tea here, see, I'd like to make tea in these many times. So this is just a bunch of herbs from outside with a little bit of mate. And this is like lemon balm and mint and the yerba mate. And there's some honey in here. So I love the French press, man. I'm using it all the time. And let's see here. Okay, so Old Town says, hello, Nate. Fort Wayne here. Oh, yeah? Fort Wayne. Nice. Yeah. I know all about Fort Wayne. Okay, Sundrop says, is the same theory about pine needles the same as why you shouldn't grow vegetables next to walnut trees? Well, the walnut trees is actually different. It doesn't have to do with the pH of the soil. But in a way, the theory in the sense that it's the roots. But also, yeah. So the black walnut trees emit a secretion known as juglone, and that is a growth retardant, especially to things in the nightshade family. Potatoes, tomatoes, and those kind of things. The peppers, especially to those. Now, some plants, it doesn't affect them nearly as much, almost none at all, like melons and squash and beans. And corn. You can grow all that stuff pretty much next to potatoes, or next to the black walnuts. But many plants, most plants just won't thrive next to black walnuts because of the juglone. And it is in the roots primarily, but it's also in every part of the plant, the tree. So even the leaves and all of that, yeah, you really don't want anything to do with black walnuts and your garden, pretty much. So And that's been my experience. Me and my uncle, we have, there's a big garden out there. And a couple of years ago, we were looking at these tomato plants and just thinking, what in the world? We just could not determine. I mean, they grew to a certain size and then just wilted, just straight up, just wilted. So we watered them and everything. And then I couldn't figure it out. But then we realized 50 feet away was a massive black walnut tree, because it was on the south side of the woods. And the woods, there's just tons of trees. And so, but then we looked and said, oh, black walnuts, of course. And so, boom. Yeah, that's what did it. David Gallego says, I'm learning so much from this conversation. That is awesome, my friend. I am happy you were here. So, okay, Scott Miller says, I spaced. Did you cover PT, adding human urine to a 24-hour T top dress fertilizer? Okay, yeah, I don't call it PT like that. I mean, I call it, its technical name, urea, okay? Because that's like what we want. But yeah, the urine fertilizer is, yes. You can use that. What is the question? I forget. Okay, so adding human urine to a 24-hour T top dress fertilizer. Absolutely. Urine can be used at any stage along the way. But here's the thing. When you ferment it, it changes the composition of the types of nitrogen, of ammonia, and I forget the exact chemistry involved, but it totally transforms it, guys. And it denatures. Okay, so the reason that we ferment the urine, you can use it fresh, yes, but it's better fermented. One, because it converts the type of nitrogen that is in there to a more plant available form, to a form that is better for the plants. And so it will darken and it will get much stronger. When you smell it, it just, you can tell it becomes so much darker, and it becomes a lot more concentrated of smell. And so then the second reason that we ferment it is because with the leaf mold and in the bucket, like of the video I made, when I say ferment, I'm talking about the video that I made on how to do it. When we do it in that method, then we are giving it sufficient time to denature the medications and the antibiotics and everything that people are taking, and the preservatives in the food. A lot of that, most of it, can be denatured over time with the microorganisms and the ferment. So that is why human urine can be used in certified organic agriculture only after it has been fermented. They term it digested enzymatically for 6 months. Okay, it has to be 6 months. And so we are essentially doing that with the leaf mold. Now, if you're concerned about any kind of medications or any of that, you can add the labs to it. You can add labs to the urine as well, and that will help speed up the decomposition. All right. Let's see here. Lady Hammer says, my cucumber leaves are getting yellow spots, and some of the cucumbers are round. Okay. What am I going to say? Did you transplant them, or are those direct seeded? But yeah, yellow spots, they get that. That's a sign that you have cucumber beetles, is the yellow spots. For the most part, I can't see those exactly to know if they're the ones, but for the most part, if you start seeing random yellow blotches on your cucumbers, it's from the cucumber beetle damage. And that's going to pretty soon infect the whole plant, and it's going to pretty soon be the death of the plant. Cucumbers are so finicky, and they're so easy to they're just such a little princess plant where they just, faint at the slightest little, thing. So that's why you succession sow them. So as one is on its way, you just got to have multiple different options. Okay, this one is not going to work. Well, you got another one that is going to come right up. And so that's the way to do it. Big West says, I only use my own urine. Yes, that is a good way to do it. I have no problem using my own because I know it is absolutely clean, pure. And Christine says, I live in Shasta. Oh, beautiful place. And we have had drought for several years, but not this year. We have had thunder showers almost every night. It should rain again this weekend. Oh, man, you guys been needing that in Shasta. Definitely. That's wonderful to hear. Big Will Dog says, question. How would using JDOM versus AgroThrive differ in application and growth? I am not aware of what AgroThrive is. It sounds a little bit like, well, I don't know. What is it? What is AgroThrive? Let's see. Woods Horace says, can you make the urea with compost instead of leaf mold? If you absolutely had to, you can. Yeah, I mean, compost, good quality finished compost can be a replacement to the leaf mold if you have to, but it still doesn't have the same diversity of microorganisms, and it doesn't have, compost is pretty much fungally dominated, or bacterially dominated. And so especially the faster it decomposes is the more higher bacteria content. So the leaf mold is got a much higher ratio of fungal spores. And so really we want a lot of that as well. And so there's really no replacement for the good quality leaf mold, but so I would still try and find some of that, all right? Guys, you definitely want to plant some of these here, these ground cherries, man. I know I already talked about them, but many people have joined on since then. And so these things are delicious. They're one of the few annuals that truly taste like a tropical berry. I mean, these things are super delicious, and they grow just like a tomato plant. They're in the family of the tomato. And so I'm just about to put a bunch of them out because I have to pull up the cabbages because they've already gone to flower. And so I always like to have things that are ready to go in there. And so we're going to put the ground cherries in there. And these things, they're like a husk berry, you know, like a tomatillo, how it has the husk around it. But these fall to the ground. But only once they fall to the ground, then you will eat them. And they are so sweet. Tastes like a little bit of pineapple with... It's hard to describe. I would have to get another one. Once they start yielding, I'll sit here and eat one and describe it to you guys. But it'll be a while, obviously, before they're yielding. But they are delicious, so I highly recommend it to everyone. Ben T, what's up, my friend? Says, Nate, question. In my JLF banana peels, watermelon rinds, grass, etc. are not breaking down and are retaining their colors. Is this a problem? Well, it depends. How long has it been? And is it hot enough? And is the leaf mold active enough? Was it good, high quality leaf mold? So it can take a while, yes, but the hotter it is, they should be out right with the plants. So mine are up against the north-south fence, and so they get half the day of sun, direct sun, give or take, and then the rest is in shade. But man, that stuff has totally liquefied. I mean, I packed them barrels full at the end of last year, and it is all, there's only a film of like this much organic material left on the top of those barrels. The rest of it is totally liquefied. So that's why when people are like, anaerobic fermentation, there's no life in the fermentation. Then what has totally liquefied, like 50 pounds of organic material that I put in there just over the winter and the spring. Then, so it's definitely the microorganisms. Let's see. And National Disgrace says, my urine is probably pure THC. Haha, yeah. Probably is. Twinkles says, Cukes do not like temp change. I only use room temp water to water mine. Oh yeah, Princess plants. And El Shadowin says, hey everybody, do the thumbs up thing. We are all learning so much. Yes, please give it the thumbs up, because we want to try and get as many people involved in this community as possible. So if you guys are watching, and so give the thumbs up, of course. Also, you can leave comments even after the fact if you're watching this. Share your thoughts, share your experiences. That's what's so important. So if you have, about any of the topics I've talked about so far, if you have personal firsthand experience or just thoughts, put them in the comments after the fact even. Put them in the comments, because, and then when you watch videos on my channel, read through the comments, because this channel has attracted a really intelligent type of people for the most part. It's like, 1 to 100, as far as that goes, or even less, 1 to 500, of the jokers. So, but everyone else is totally got good experience, got good thoughts, and everybody, communicates effectively, and people aren't bickering and arguing and stuff. That's a good sign. So when a channel attracts that, and so you want to be part of that, you know, because that is not all that common on the internet these days anymore. Because there's just so much arguing and no, that doesn't get you anywhere. So, okay, Joe DeFazio says AgriThrive is a organic fertilizer. Okay, I would have to see what is in it. I would have to know. I would have to read the label, and I would have to see how it's made. Okay. Jico says, Nate, please talk about the process of the copper Athena. Ooh, I am not sure what the copper Athena is. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry, my friend. And the thing you add is a what? J-Dom? Oh, the thing you add is what? I'm not sure, Scott, what you're talking about with that. Yeah, J-Dom, J-A-D-A-M. That is a style of farming. Yes, it's partially, you know, there's many different styles of natural farming, but J-Dom is one, K&F is another one. But there's also a lot of skills and things I've learned that have no particular lineage to them, we'll say. Now, was there a, let's see here, was there a, did I miss a tip here somewhere? It looks like it's up here. Oh, yes. Okay, wonderful. Yes, Justin Ingalls, $10. Thank you very much, my friend. Says, good day, Nate. I want to make biochar, but I only have the lump charcoal, compost, urea, chicken manure, JLF, worm castings, and a rice wash that funky at 5 days. Would this be enough to inoculate it? Oh, absolutely. Man, really, I mean, technically compost would be enough, but man, yes, if you do compost, okay, so take your lump charcoal and get it to the right proportion, the right size, and you watch from the video that I made how to do that. And it's good to have it when you do it like in the pillowcase like I showed, and I ran over it. I put it in a pillowcase, ran over it with the vehicle a few times. So it's good because you get some chunks that are still big, some chunks that are medium, but also some of the fine powder for the worms and stuff. So that's a good way to do it. And then put it into the barrel and inoculate, or put in a couple shovel loads of compost, some of the urea, some chicken manure JLF, you know, gallon of that, so a few handfuls of the worm casting, and the rice wash. Absolutely. Let it all soak in there and marinate, and that is going to get into every little tiny crevice. Remember, they said that I mean, I don't know this to be a fact, but the science says that the size of, what was it? Oh, man. 1 gram? Was it 1 gram, I think, of biochar has the same surface area as 2 full-size tennis courts. If you laid out, that's how much, you know, channels are in there. That's how much, that's why it's so valuable, is because the surface area for the home for the microorganisms is just astonishing, the amount that there is. So, Jenny says, rabbit manure doesn't need to be composted. You can use it straight away. Chickens, you get eggs, tick, and other insect control. Eat the chickens too. Oh yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah, rabbit manure is one that can be used fresh as well, although it is nowhere near as strong as chicken manure. So rabbit manure, it can be used fresh for a reason, because it's very kind of weak. You know, it's good in organic matter and stuff, and it has some nitrogen in it and stuff like that. If you have it, it's good to use. And you can make a tea or an extract out of that, no problem. And let's see. Ooh, so Rachel, Successful Garden Design, says, your vibe attracts your tribe. I like that. I like that. Oh, man, I'm going to get some merch. At some point, I'm going to get some merch made, and we can have some shirt or something. Your vibe attracts your tribe. I'm remembering that one. Thank you. Let's see. Claude says, what's up? What would happen if I would add leaf mold to your method of fish hydrolysate? It would slow things down and it would clog it up. There's no need for it, because the fish hydrolysate is where we are enzymatically digesting it. So that's why they're really two different things. And the hydrolysate is full of all kinds of good stuff, and it's really good for like compost teas and also for foliar feeding and things like that. The leaf mold is more for the one in the barrel, you know, that takes a long time, or the bucket, the longer fermentation. And so it's going to be, it's just going to have more diversity in it. So I'm going to be making a video pretty soon that's going to explain a lot more about that. So I'm not going to say all that much about that right now, but pretty soon I'll be making a video on that. So, let's see here. Mom Computer, good to see you here. Says, I post Nate's video links on whatever chat I might be on to help lead people here. Yes, wonderful. I know I can always count on you, my friend. Let's see. There was a tip here somewhere. $5. Miss P, thank you very much, my friend. Says, Nate, would love for you to create a show and tell series of short episodes what I'm doing in the garden today. Man, yeah, that would be cool. I would love to do that. That's actually, if you guys have watched my other channel and stuff, my Travel Like a Viking, where I do like storytelling a lot more, I like that kind of thing more than even these kind of videos, like instructional type videos and stuff. So yeah, eventually at some point, I will be doing that, especially once I get the land. Once that whole thing kind of begins to materialize, then I will be, well, the nature of the channel is going to just have to change a bit, in the sense that up to this point, it's been the knowledge, and it's been short, concise, right to the point stuff, you know, but there's going to come a time when, you know, okay, after a few more years like this, there's not many more fertilizers you can make. I mean, we've pretty much made them all, and there's not that much more, like, you know, I can't just keep making those kind of videos indefinitely. So there will be, once I get the land, then it will be a whole different avenue of exploration, and you will get to see, because I'll be learning. I mean, I've got the basic principles, and I've been a part of a lot of different things all throughout the world and stuff. But it's never been like my operation. And so you will see so much happening in those and I will probably start doing that kind of, you know, videos as well as still the instructionals, but definitely a lot more like episodes of stuff, you know, put it all together, 20-minute episodes, something like that. Show you all the different things that we're doing, the cows that we got, or the animals that we got, the chickens, you know, the successes, the failures, all that kind of stuff. That's really what I see coming. So yes. Let's see. Val says, smash that like button, friends. That's right. Bury that like button like a seed. So let us see here. Someone just gave another, yes, Charles Norman, my friend. Thank you very much. He says, thank you for sharing with us, Nate. Yes, you are welcome, my friend. And I appreciate your efforts on, he's kind of making like a, I don't even know what you call it, like a quick promo, you know, for the Saturday morning things that I can use on some social media platforms. So that's really nice. I appreciate your efforts, my friend. And a lot of you actually have started making, you know, videos on your channel where you mention Garden Like a Viking, and that is awesome, you know. So then if you do that, I will try to promote in some way whatever your channel is. On Instagram, we do that a lot. So if you mention me in your story, I'll mention you in mine, that kind of thing. And we can help build each other's social media, but maybe that's not important for you. It's important for me because I'm a professional social media person now. But if it's not, then at least I can see your garden. So if you're on Instagram, tag me at Garden Like a Viking. Use the hashtag at Garden Like a Viking, or the hashtag Garden Like a Viking. And if you're on YouTube, make a video showing me, just a brief, it can just be 5 minutes, showing me your garden or your setup or your fertilizers or something like that. And then put it on your channel, and then put me in the actual title. You can say, giving a garden tour with at Garden Like a Viking. And then it will alert me to that. And so that I can then see your stuff and I can comment on it. I just think that's really cool because, you know, you guys see so much of me and my life and all of this stuff that's happening. It's cool to also get to see some of yours. So definitely appreciated. Mention me and all that stuff because it helps build the channel, but it also helps to just build a relationship so that I can put a face to the name and all of that stuff. Old Town says, Nate, do you do the farmer's market? I do not. No, I do not do the farmer's market. Because the kind of thing that what I am into is not market gardening. Mine is more not survival gardening, but like homestead gardening, like high stakes gardening. That stuff where, because it's totally different when you're selling stuff. And how many of you would know this, but when you're market gardening, it's totally different. Certain aspects are different. The Many of the things are the same, though. The way that you treat the soil food web, feeding the soil is primary. The plants are an expression of the soil. The practices are all very similar between any of the types of gardening. But what is different between the market gardening and the home or the food security gardening, what I'll call it, is the techniques, how intense you plant things, and how the rotation of things, and how much of what you plant, and your harvesting times and all that stuff. That's the main thing that's different, which that's a lot. And so I am not that much into that, because for me, the objective is not to try and make money with plants anymore. It used to be that, but no, my objective now is to get the land, create the school, and to have hands-on, to do what I'm doing through these videos, but hands-on. There will be just a wealth of seminars and courses you can take, and you can come for a week, 2-week, intensive course, learn to make all the fertilizers, learn to make the microorganism solution, and then there will be certain aspects that are more about, the spirit of the earth and all of this kind of stuff. So that's really the objective. The objective for me is not to get a farm and be trying to make money by farming plants, So different needs, different needs. Stephen Strange says, how are the plants with the copper coils doing? It's too early to tell. It's too early to tell. Actually, I'm going to hit up Pinball and see if he wants to do just a brief collab because I want to see his results too. So maybe we'll do a video where we show both of our results at the moment at the same time. But it's too early to tell, so I can't say anything, can't say anything on it. Let's see. Wesley Snellgrove says, Nate, any specific dehydrator you would recommend? Well, if you got the money, the Excalibur is a wonderful. The Excalibur is wonderful, yeah, and it's probably the one I'll end up getting here before long. But if you just have a smaller term, because the Excalibur I think is like $600, something like that. But it's a good one. It's good, and I like the design. I've used them, and I've seen. They're good. I've never owned one though, but I think I will here in the somewhat near future, maybe by the end of this season. But for a home one, a real economical one is the Kasori. The Kasori stainless steel one. I love that. This one we got my mother last year, and it's got like 6 trays in it, and it's stainless steel, and it looks real nice and clean. That's not that important to me, but it's important to my mom. But it looks nice and clean on the counter and stuff like that. It's stainless steel, and it's real simple. Just touch, beep, beep, and it functions really well. So, and it's only like it's under $150, I think. I'm pretty sure. So for the money, you can't beat that, man. That Kasori. I think that I actually put a link in the description of most of the videos, actually. I think I still, put a link in the description. So that'd be great. If you're going to get one, use the link in the video, and it gives me just a small kickback. It doesn't cost you anymore, but it gives me a little kickback. So that would help. And what is a dehydrator, Sarah says? Dehydrator is a thing that that's how I do all this stuff. You put it in there, it's like an oven, except it only gets to 130, low, 150 degrees max, I think. And it sucks all the moisture out of your produce so that you can then store it. So see how it's all totally dehydrated? And it stores all winter long like that. No problem. And that is really good. I use the dehydrator all the time. So, and let's see here. Kim Williams says, Garden Like a Viking, we sell our excess produce. Oh yeah, wonderful. That would be wonderful. And I could see doing that when I get the land, when there's enough and stuff. But for the home garden, and then I got a couple of other garden projects around the city. For those, it's like we don't have enough we don't have too much. We plant what we're going to use. Like as far as potatoes and stuff, we might have some extra potatoes this year, but for the most part, if we project that we're going to have excess, then we don't plant as many, and instead we put something else there, so that we can, so we don't really have that much excess. Although I give away lots of stuff, no problem. But as far as selling it and stuff, yeah, I'm just not into selling it. Bobby Garza says, I have a Kasori and really like it. Just made some jerky and so good. Oh, yes, jerky. Yes, that sounds wonderful. Brian says, we put our food over our wood stove during the colder days to dehydrate food. Yeah, oh, I bet that works real good because that's bone dry heat. Let's see. Manpreet Kaur says, last week I made Jadam sulfur following the video. Can I keep in plastic containers? Yes, you can. You can keep it in the plastic containers. No problem. Let's see. Printer Bear says, Nate, do you plant the winter rye in fall for a corn patch? Yes. Winter rye is planted late summer all the way up pretty much to winter. I mean, you can plant winter rye is the one cover crop that will sprout even if it's like 35 degrees. I mean, winter rye is phenomenal for that. And so winter rye can be planted later than any of the other cover crops. So as opposed to like crimson clover, for it to really be good and to take hold, you want to plant crimson clover like a month before your last frost date, really. So yeah, yep, you plant it in the fall time. And Joe DeFazio said, it would be cool to see you and David the Good do something together. That would be cool, man. I'd be all about that. Put the word out to him. Says, hey, you should hit up Garden Like a Viking. We're in totally different zones, So the styles of growing and a lot of the things are really different. I mean, he's like deep south, deep, like as far as I think south, like Central America. But maybe he's in Florida now, I think. But yeah, so the techniques are going to be different and stuff, but I would love to do a collab with him sometime. I would love to visit his farm, yeah. If he invited me, I would come all the way down there just to do that. That would be great. So, let's see, Brian says, man, YouTube notification is horrible. On board now, better than ever. Okay, well, then make sure you're hitting the notification button. I don't know if that really even does anything, but everyone always says it. Make sure you turn on that bell notification and blah, blah, blah. Isn't that irritating to you guys sometimes when like 1 minute into a video, someone's like, okay, and so we're going to get into this today, but before we do, go ahead and take a moment to hit the like button, to subscribe to the channel and stuff like it's subscribe to the channel. We're 1 minute in. What are you talking about? All that stuff. That's why I always put it at the very end of the video, because only then does the viewer understand, okay, I've gained something. Only if the viewer feels, because personally, only if I feel like, okay, I gained something from that. That was great. Thumbs up. Thank you. But you don't know that in the first 10 seconds of the video. So this just seems a little bit ridiculous. But, okay. Mom Computer says David the Good's in Alabama now. Okay. Still deep south. Let's see. Big Will Dog says, question, do you keep the seeds from plants that do exceptionally well? Seed giveaway? Ooh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I have several things that season after season, I just keep the seeds from that. And so they do really well. Yeah. Seed giveaway. That would be cool. I know what seed a lot of you would like is the Tahitian melon squash. That would be one that I could do, definitely. Tahitian melon squash seed giveaway. I could see that. Let's see here. Scott says, J. Dom, if evidently a gardening style incorporating organic growing techniques utilizing soil microbes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. J. Dom is really, so there's strength and weaknesses to so many different forms, and the J. Dom is really good. One, because it's the simplest of all forms. It's as simple as it gets. So it's wonderful for beginners, and it doesn't need to get any more complicated than that. JDOM is as simple as it gets. It follows the rules of nature, and it is the cheapest, and that is what led me to it in the first place. Once everything was collapsing out west and stuff, and we could no longer spend tens of thousands of dollars on fertilizers, we had to start thinking about okay, we got to seriously cut costs. The last couple of seasons, oh man. But that was what's so appealing about the JDOM is that it's free. I mean, virtually. The pesticides can cost a little bit, the sulfur and stuff, but I mean, virtually free. It's incredible. Scott says, how about VDOM, Viking? That's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know what the DAM, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, we'll come up with some kind of Viking thing. It's getting worked out. We're only a year into this whole channel thing, so it'll get worked out definitely. The Viking style of doing whatever. But probably once we get the land, then it'll all become a lot more solidified and clear, and it'll incorporate animals and all different kinds of stuff. But yeah, that's what's good about JDOM is how simple it is and how low cost it is. I mean, extraordinarily low cost, and it's effective. There are drawbacks, yes. And one of the major drawbacks to JDOM, is the smells. And in fact, why I don't recommend it for everyone in every situation. When I just went down to DePaul University, I was doing a consulting gig down there, and they had let this garden they had a real nice big garden and like a nice commercial greenhouse, but it had been mismanaged for several years. And so it was just totally overrun by weeds. And so they brought me down there and to say, okay, what can we do? We need to make a plan. I said, okay, that's my specialty. So bam, we made a plan. And for them, what do you mean, Jeremy? JDOM has nothing to do with gardening. Oh, you mean the name? Right, I know. But so for them, the students, because I began the whole thing. As soon as I got there, I was like, okay, guys, let's do a little visioneering. And if you watch my Nate Murray channel, then you know what visioneering is. It's creating an image of what you want to see as the future. It's creating the future. We're engineering the future through envisioning it. And there's a bit of a technique. So I just kind of guided it a little bit. Okay, so what do we see? What is the purpose of this garden? What do you see coming in 5 years? And 5 years from now, to the students that were there, 5 years from now, what would you like to look back and see this whole experience? And so I got a lot from them, and they were talking about, I love it. I want this to be a place where students can come and then, do a little bit of work here and there or observe some things and then go on to class and stuff and go to their sport things. And so we talked for several hours with the students and a couple faculty members and got a real good image of what, envisioning, basically. Visioneering is what I call it. But got a real good image of what we want from that. So then I said, okay, in my mind, as I was formulating the plan, I said, okay, I am not going to recommend JDOM for this place because there's no way that if you're trying to entice students to say gardening is great and gardening, grow your own food, sustainability and all that kind of stuff, and they just want to come experience stuff, if they get one drop of the fertilizer on their hands, they will smell like death for the entire rest of the day. They will go to class and everybody will say, "Oh my God, what is it? Oh, I just came from the farm." And say, "Oh God, we don't want to go there." I already know it. And so there is no way that I was going to say, okay, we'll just start fermenting all these barrels of stuff, because that is the one enormous drawback of JDOM, is the putrid stench of death. And that is not conducive to inviting people into the place. If every time they leave, they have to throw away their clothes, so yeah. And for that reason, we're going to do a couple of the fertilizers, but the main thing they're going to utilize is the actively aerated compost teas. They're going to be doing a lot of composting. They're just going to use mostly compost and then the compost teas with hopefully the fish fertilizer. That will be primary because it's an ingredient in the compost teas. But the aerated compost teas have a wonderful smell. And so it smells like fresh earth and forest floor and a little bit like bread, fresh bread. And so those are wonderfully inviting. And so by utilizing the compost and the aerated compost teas, there's not going to be any of that putrid smell of death. And so, see, these are the kind of things that's why you can't give blanket statements about stuff. I have to come to the place and I have to see, okay, what are all the variables involved? And then we formulated that plan, because otherwise I would just be like, oh, will you start fermenting your barrels of JDOM and stuff? Not for this place. That's not the best option. So we can get wonderful results by showing the students that you don't actually have to make all this stuff. That can be for mad scientist type gardeners who love that kind of stuff. But all you need is good quality compost. That's key. Good quality compost. So we set them up with plans to make a 15 bay compost setup, because they have access to lots of compost. So you get the good quality compost and a good bubbler and a good way to apply these aerated teas and compost extracts. You're utilizing compost. That's going to be the number one way. And so for them, that's going to be the best by far, because they're going to smell these things and they're going to have pleasant memories of all of this. So, okay, guys, it's approaching the end, my friend. And let's see. Jeremy says, don't forget to JDOM that like button to help Nate. Yes, my friends, JDOM that like button. And Scott says, only invite COVID survivors to your VDOM garden. They lost all sense of smell. Yeah. I mean, really, it's the smell. Yeah, it's out of control. But hey, I didn't think anything of it. When we were in the mountains and stuff, when I first found JDOM, I didn't think anything of it, because we were all, we're farmers, so like we were living that lifestyle and stuff where there was just animals around and the smells and all that kind of stuff was always present. So it's not like you didn't even think about, oh, that smells bad. You didn't even think about that. It works, and that's just part of the farming process. But when you're in a city type setting or a university setting, that's unacceptable. Then it's really like, oh, what's that smell? Okay, guys, if you got any burning questions, and let's see, J.E. Hammond says, what is your average yield on one butternut squash? Well, butternut, I don't grow those very much anymore, because you'll get about between 5 and 7 good-sized butternuts per vine. You can get that. You can get double that sometimes if everything goes right, but between 5 and 7, butternuts per vine. But if you grow a Tahitian melon squash, though, it is a butternut, the exact flavor of butternut, even a little bit sweeter, except it's like 4 times the size of a neck. The seed cavity on the Tahitian melon is the same size as a butternut, but the neck is enormous on it, and it's all just solid butternut orange squash. And you can get like 5 to 7 of those per vine. That can be like 100 pounds of food, between 50 and 100 pounds of squash on one vine of Tahitian melon squash. But the stalk, the vine on that thing is huge, with the leaves can be like this big. So LC says, T, that's what I'm highly anticipating. I already got the barrel and the aerator. All right, good. So you are way ahead already. Yeah, we'll be making that video pretty soon. It'll be coming up. I just want to make sure everything's right. We need a little bit of rain first. I need the plants to be, nice and healthy. So yeah, because when it's super bone dry, you don't want to be applying very much stuff, because the plants, it's too much for them. So Elizabeth Hendricks says, oh, sad to see the end. Was great, Nate. Thanks again. Please let me know when you get the P.O. box, when you get it. I've been saving. All right, my friend. Yes, I will be getting that P.O. box soon. I'm going to actually get Cash App and Venmo and a P.O. box and all that stuff for more options, because I know a lot of you want to support the channel. And big shout out to the people that are supporting the channel. A lot of you recently have been using the link in the description to make a donation to the PayPal account. Very much appreciate you guys. I forgot I was going to write out all the names and say them again, because I just want to show my appreciation. But I forgot to this time, so it'll have to be next time. But I really thank you guys for that. And remember, on my other channel, Nate Muri, is every Monday at 12 noon Eastern time, we do a live where we talk about everything but gardening, all kinds of other stuff, visioneering, and what is typically called manifesting, that kind of thing. But I explain what it actually is. And so, okay, my friends, and check out the Garden Like a Viking Instagram account. Make sure that you're signing, along with all of that. Use the Garden Like a Viking hashtag so I can see your stuff. And if you have pictures you have to send me, you can email them to me or do it through Instagram. But any garden-related questions, let's keep them all in the comment section of the videos. So, okay, my friend, thank you very much. I will see you next time.